Hello, friends. It's Carla, your online doctor, with today's Live in 5. Today is Tuesday, October 20th, and it is 5 p.m. Well, we just had a massive downpour, so hopefully my connectivity here is okay and we don't get any more rain for the next 5 minutes. Anyway, so when COVID-19 super spreaders are talking, a person who is considered a super spreader, where you sit in the room in relation to them matters. Okay, now clearly we never know who the super spreader is, but in the event that you did, clearly where you're sitting in relation to them is going to make a difference. Now, it doesn't take long for airborne coronavirus particles to make their way through a room. Okay, at first, only people sitting near an infected speaker are at the highest risk. But as the meeting or class goes on, the tiny aerosol particles can spread, but not everyone faces the same level of risk. So as people return to school and restaurants and more meetings move indoors, right, as the outside temperatures begin to drop, what are the highest risk areas in a room, and how does proper ventilation play a part? Okay, so this is very, very important, so listen up. So as we've seen from other super spreader events, most of which have been outdoors, close quarters or proximity to one another is the easiest means of spreading the virus. Okay, or being exposed to the virus. Current models describing the role of ventilation on the airborne microbes in a room assume the air is well mixed, with the particle concentration uniform throughout the room. Now, in a poorly ventilated room or in a small space, that is likely what happens, and the entire room is a high risk region. Okay, we're talking small enclosed spaces, again, with poor ventilation. However, in larger spaces, such as at a university or school classrooms, where there is good ventilation, it reduces the risk, but likely not uniformly. So the study I read explained the theory. Now, aerosol particles similar in size to those from humans were injected into a room and monitored with sensors. I find this stuff so cool. Okay, I wish I could show it to you because it was really cool to see. A So the room that they used was 30 feet by 26 feet. Okay, it was a university classroom designed to hold 30 students. The ventilation system met the recommendation standards. All right, when particles were released in the front of the room, they reached all the way to the back of the room within 10 to 15 minutes. But because of active ventilation, the concentration in the back was about only 1/10 or 10% that close to the source where the injection of the particles were put into the room. Okay, so this suggests that with appropriate ventilation, the highest risk for getting COVID-19 could be limited to a small number of people near the infected speaker. Now, as the time spent indoors with an infected speaker increases, the risk extends to the entire room. So if you think about things that have been closed, restaurants, bars, movie theaters, okay, movie theaters tend to be bigger areas. Maybe mass transit where people aren't going as often on a bus or a plane and a train. These are spaces in which you have to now reconsider this theory. Okay, and we're going to talk more about it tomorrow. So I'm going to keep you on the edge of your seats. You're going to have to come back tomorrow to hear part 2. But these people, again, who are the super spreaders, you don't know who they are. So you have to assume everybody is a potential super spreader. If they happen to be sitting next to you or standing next to you, obviously your risk is the highest. But if you just go to a place and it's a random, like a restaurant, your mask is off because you're eating, but yet this is a potential risk for you and for everyone in the room. So my question to restaurants, bars, schools, etc., is how can you increase your ventilation system to facilitate moving particles faster and more thoroughly so that it doesn't pose as high a risk in a short period of time, right? Because if air circulation turnover in a room is once every 20 minutes or once every 30 minutes if it's poorly ventilated, you're at higher risk the entire time that you're there. But if the turnover is every 5 minutes or every 10 minutes, which is why being outdoors protects you much more because of the air, then you are at less of a risk in a room, again, with that higher turnover and proper ventilation. So for me, as I look at as kids going back to school in public schools, universities, etc., they need to be working very heavily on their ventilation system. If there's a way to open windows or leave doors open, so allow for this movement of air, then these particles are going to have a decreased concentration over a shorter period of time, which puts people at a lower risk. So stay tuned tomorrow because I have the rest of that study information to share with you. It's pretty exciting. I really enjoyed reading this article. Anyway, I hope that you guys are staying dry. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow for another Live in 5.